Hey guys, today we're just gonna talk about building a new website on Cloudways um, with a Vulture. I actually just saw somebody else had posted a video on this. I was really happy when they added in Vulture's high frequency processing course. You tend to get way snappier response, so it helps the front end for users, but it also helps in the back end for administrative work, which is like kind of the problem right now because most of the stuff that the hosts do for work is to make it fast for the users, but your experience in the back end to actually build posts and to function can get slower and slower and slower over time. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go over how you can do this with Vulture and high frequency to kind of get yourself a very high functioning website at a very good monthly cost. Right here, you'll see they actually have support too. So it's not like the other, like if you're just to do DigitalOcean and it's all powered and supported by you, they have support to help you actually get yourself up and running. And they have really built their whole stuff to run as fast and optimally as possible. And everything is on 7.3, I think, by default when I looked, although you can change it to be lower and you can change it to 7.4. You just lose out on a couple of functionalities depending on plugins you run. But we're going to go over this real quick, and I just want to kind of go through all the steps to get this in place and get you up and running on the Cloudways platform itself. The cost for high frequency for the one core 1 gig of RAM that I run is only $13 a month. And even with that setup, you should be able to run probably, honestly, at least two WordPress websites on that server if you really felt like you wanted to. For this website and the assembly of the content, I'm just going to leave it as one website. It's just going to have the content from my website on there. But this way you guys can kind of see building a website moving forward so that it's a chance for you to experience building it from the ground up. And this video is really more about just getting everything built and in place. And the next video will be on search analysis and kind of going through finding the keywords and phrases we want to run. And then the final step is really the building of content, but that one's kind of going to be not necessarily straight recorded, but just updates as I go, just because nobody wants to watch anybody type. It's not really exciting. But let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear anybody who's actually used it. If nobody's used it, I really honestly would say go make a site. I think it's a 7-day trial. You can go do the trial itself on my link, and it'll give you a chance to go look at how it functions. They have a simple plugin for porting in an existing website, and when you port in the existing website, then you could go look at it on the URL they give you, because it's not your address, but it would be a chance to see what it would look like and how it operates on their service versus yours. And many of you would probably be pretty impressed with just a 1 gig processor, 1 gig of RAM server itself, because normally that would be split between probably 6 hosts or 6 web hosts on a server possibly, and then each one of them might have 3 websites. So, I mean, you'd get a lot of servers that are jam-packed with too many things eating too many resources, and you get the effect on the front end of speed from the CDN and caching, and the back end is just incredibly slow and draggy and doesn't do much for you. So hopefully this will help you guys all out, and I'd love to hear more from you. It should be fun to kind of build and see over time. Try and follow this more specifically along the Project 24 style timeline and see what we can get with at least a minimum of 30 posts and just letting something rest. I was going through the list of hobbies and actually was scrolling through randomly, and I came across a game that my dad used to have us all play in the, to show my age, within the 80s and into the 90s, that made me wonder if it would be kind of open and less full of people, because it's not necessarily the most popular game nowadays, but at this point I think it would be fun to do. So this whole series is just going to be on Footbag itself, and many people probably know it as Hacky Sack or other miscellaneous names, but Hacky Sack is just the trademark name by one of the companies, and it kind of took over for a while, but it's really just Footbag. So I'm going to go ahead and build a website all around this and walk you guys through everything from start to finish. I'm going to go try and look around. I have a couple of ideas on domain names, so I'm going to go see what's available and start moving forward. All right, so typically I get my domains over on Namecheap just because it's the quick and fun way and inexpensive, lower cost than most, along with free domain protection. So the Whois site that other domain registers will typically make you pay for, on Namecheap it's just free. So I'm gonna go with footbagger.com, which I found and I thought was pretty awesome. When I was looking at other ones, there wasn't a lot that jumped out at me, and this is almost what I would expect you would call yourself if you did this. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my cart, and we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the cart, and we'll go ahead and actually just confirm this. We'll do 1 year for now. You get it for free. I don't turn on this premium DNS. Make sure Whois is on, because that way you don't get spammed with information. And then for $9.06, I can start this with you guys. So that's the first part down. So what we'll continue on now is finding a hosting platform, and then how we'll route this to point at that hosting. So I'll talk to you in just a few. All right, many people will take you through other hosting companies. I like Cloudways because you can always scale and make things bigger if you need to, but they offer now with Vultr high frequency servers, which makes them very snappy and very responsive. And I think on average on my test builds, the Vultr high frequency was around 250 milliseconds response time. So for this, what you do is you sign up for an account. I'll put a link below, or maybe up in one of these little tags, I don't know. And once you're inside here, you have to create your server. So you'll go to servers, and then you're going to tell it what version you want it to be, and then you can tell it what you want to call it. So of note, you can host multiple installs on a server, so you can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it my website so that I can remember which one it is, and then just name it again. And that I'm going to put it in a project called WordPress, which I just went into projects and made a folder so that it's easy for me to keep track of what is where and what's test. What you want to do though, 100% much faster, go to Vultr, change this from standard to high frequency, and you can leave this at 1 gigabyte. Change the location to something that's local, more to your area. So I'm in Texas, so I'm going to choose Dallas just so that it's close to me. And this way you're ready to go and build a server that can take care of your needs for the upcoming website that you're going to launch. Okay, so now we've got the servers list. So it'll come up and it'll be like this when you don't have any servers. You'll want to go ahead and do launch. You're going to go ahead and select the newest WordPress version. You can do like with WooCommerce built in, or multi-site, or without the Cloudways optimization. I always take their optimizations and just do 542. I'm going to name this just the website for ease of management. And the ease of management, same thing, just the name. Do Vultr. You want to do high frequency. Change this. Your performance, because you'll see standards $11 a month. High frequency is 13, but that $2 will net you a very good solid performance. As you grow bigger, you can always scale these up. And these are a virtual server, so you can actually add multiple sites. So you can host, if you were to get this for $50 a month, you could probably host, multiple sites without any problems on it, without seeing any speed issues. But since you're doing one site, you're just going to stick with the 1 gig. So this is just a 1 gigabyte of RAM and 1 core on the processor, but the high clock rate will keep it running snappy for you. And my testing has shown it to be around 250 milliseconds for the time to first byte, as opposed to like 2 or 3 seconds that I've seen on some of the other hosts. I mean, even the faster ones are like 750 to 1 second. So it's immensely faster. Choose your location. So for me, that's going to be Dallas because it's just closer to Texas than me. And then you'll just do launch now. And it's going to start building these. So it's going to tell you, it's going to give you a code also. But this is going to go and take about 13 minutes to build. So once it's done, I'll come back and we will go through setting up the application. So getting WordPress actually installed on there. And then we'll start on the network setup to get the website pointed over to here. I'll see you guys in just a few. Okay, now you'll see we've completed the actual upload. So now there's actually a server in place that's running. So what we can do now is go over to applications. And what you'll see is that this is here. Has WordPress install done while we built that server since we selected that WordPress. But if you try and go to it, it's just going to go to this URL. So what we're going to do next is how to redivert your new purchase domain over here. So this way you can get this up and running and pointed correctly for you. Alright guys, so what we've got now is that we're stuck, with this weird URL that they just provide us for the website. So what you're going to do is, we went into servers before and we went in and looked at the server details. Then you can go to the application and you can actually look at the application details. Inside here is all the credentials for getting in to your website. So logging in is actually here for your admin panel information. There's monitoring with analytics, and then you have logs, and then there's bot protection. So they actually can show you how it's doing with bots. But what we really care about is this domain management. And we have our domain, so we can actually link this over to that domain by just typing it in right there and hitting save is going to start that part. And then what we'll have to do is point our domain from our hosting over here to Cloudways. And as you know, we got that in Namecheap, so we're going to go through that part. And then this is how you could add more domains pointing to this same site. So you can do all kinds of stuff to set this up. And be right back in a second, and I'll get us over to Namecheap. Hey guys, okay, so now that we're over inside Namecheap, we can go ahead and come inside. You'll go to your domains, open your domains. So go click on it and then go to advanced DNS. And what we're going to need to do is create an A record. And we're just going to do @ because we want everything. We're going to delete that one. We want everything to go to the IP address here. So we need to go back over to the server and we need to get our IP address. So basically this is going to say everything that points at footbagger.com is going to route to this IP address. And then time to live we can leave as automatic. Then we can click save changes. There we go. Okay, so now that A record is in place, and basically this is going to be replication, so we may have to wait a few just for this to replicate, and then this will help get us up and running over on the other site as footbagger.com. So now we're going to wait a few minutes. I'll be back as soon as the replications occurred so that we can do the changeover on the domain so you can see the actual changeover. Catch you guys in just a few. All right, so now it's up and running, and the DNS is already populated because when I come in here, after I change this, remember inside domain management, I changed this over to footbagger.com. Now when you are in the main access details, you can actually click on footbagger.com and it takes us to the website. You will notice though that it still says this name because the actual install was pointed at this name, so we'll have to update it, but you also see the not secure, and the not secure is what we want to fix next because we don't want to upload images and other stuff and have them be stuck on a non-secure mode. So we're going to go into Cloudways here. You're going to go to SSL certificate, and we're going to leave it as Let's Encrypt. You're going to put in your own email address. And then you're going to have to put in your domain. And then you're going to click Install Certificate. And then this is just going to be sent out to the Let's Encrypt for that first level SSL certificate. That'll just show your website as being certified end-to-end as secure. So any communication between you and a user is encrypted, which means people can't just sit there and try and listen to what somebody on your site is trying to do. We'll be back once this ends. It shouldn't be too long. I don't need to keep you waiting. After it finally completes the request for the certificate, you're going to get this request where it's just going to say, do you want to redirect everything? So do you want to take anything that comes in as an HTTP request and just make it HTTPS? And in this case, yes, you want to just enable this because you want everything that comes into your site as a request to be forced over to the SSL side. For when you set up the analytics, it just makes life easier to know that everybody's going to hit the same version of your site. So you don't need to add multiple versions like the www or no www or secure or unsecure, because all of them can technically be managed separately from each other and let you know. So this way you can do close. Now that that's in place, we can actually go jump back in. I'm going to stop for a second because I need to copy the password, and then we'll be inside the actual website for the first time. Okay, so now we're just going to sign in with the information it gave us. We're going to go ahead and just save it for now. And when you get in, you'll see we're secure. And it's already telling us that updates are available. I dismiss most of this stuff. I go to screen options. I hate this screen being full of messy stuff, so I just turn them all off. I don't need them inside there. So I would suggest you just go ahead and update. It's best to be as secure as possible, so we're going to go ahead and let it just do this update. Most of these are only helpful, and this way you're as up to date as possible before you start working on your website. And then what you can do is you can go over, preferably I try to update everything that's not updated. I'm going to delete that one because nobody needs Hello Dolly. And actually I'm going to delete anti-spam because I'm not going to turn comments on. So this gives you their bot protection, and then Breeze is their caching software. I've had no problems with it to this point. So when you get in here, you're at a blank website. So when you go to the site, it's still going to be really boring. It's not going to have anything. You're going to see though that we got the secure lock now. What we'll do then is we're going to go ahead and just update themes. I haven't decided what we're going to use for the theme currently. I'll just let them all update, be secure. And what you want to do when you start with WordPress is just go through and make sure you have all the settings set up correctly for yourself. So if you go into general, you want to change this, right? Because you would like this to be your actual website name. So instead, you can be aligned to be what your site's about instead of just miscellaneous generic information. So just a little quick little blurb in there for now. And then I'm going to change these. I typically will set it to my time because I like it to be synced when I post a post, that I know what time it'll actually post at based on me. And then my week always starts on Sunday, so I change that. That's personal preference. As to writing, this is where you can change. So if you're going to put everything in one category, then you can change this to be beginner guides, right? And that way everything would just go into beginner guides instead of uncategorized. It'll just look a little bit prettier for yourself. This is also how you could set up if you were, let's say a hiker, right? You're out on a trail and you don't have access to the internet all the time. You could actually build your posts via email and send them to this setup address. And once they're received, it would turn it into a post on your behalf, which means that when you have internet, if it's spotty, in that spotty second, if you had something pending send, it may send and actually publish for your readers and viewers. So for most of us, not a really big thing, but for those of you who are going to be away from places, this may be worth taking the time to look into to see how you could get this set up to allow you to post even when you're not really available. That way you give people updates like family or friends. Reading. This will depend a lot on what you want to do for your setup. So most of the time, if you use like Elementor or page builders, you're going to want to set it as a static page. And instead of having it just build its own little home page, like this is just building a home page of your posts. Instead of doing that, if you were to set it to a page, then it's just going to show that content. So this home page all of a sudden has just that sample page. So you can set it how you like it. I'm just going to leave it default for now. This is how you show how many posts. So if you only wanted it to show 6 posts and then show the, before and next, you can actually set this up for the blog post. So that would maximize it showing 6 posts and just allow moving on. Since most themes tend to do 3 across, I tend to set it to 9 so that it's a nice and pretty setup without an extra 10th one at the bottom. It's really just a looks and feel thing. Discussion, this is where you can turn off comments, and I may come back through here and just turn these all off because I'm not a fan of comments. They're mostly just trash. This is your default image sizes for WordPress's thumbnail generation. So it'll always make a thumbnail size, a medium size, and a large size of any image that you upload. So typically what I do is I don't like these being so small because the web is now so much bigger nowadays. So I typically make these like 320 by 240. And then this one will make like 640 by 480. And then you can do 1024 by 768 because this is just the thumbnails. And this way your image is going to look good at multiple sizes. It's interesting that they've not changed from a decade ago when most screens were super small and websites were really compressed. But this will still look decent on most screens. I would argue with 4K and some of these monitors coming, this may become 640 by 480, and these may all have to grow as you go. The next one that's important is permalinks, and they're almost always going to have some weird setting in here. I would always recommend just coming back and putting it under post name. Unless you're going to have a very good structure that you tend to put in categories and have, inside, this is going to be inside, beginner guide. You could put them in there, but I feel like they cause more hassle down the road. If you ever have to make changes, then you need a lot of redirections and a lot more irritation to reorganize how you have everything. This way all your URLs stay nice and short if you keep them to just that post slug. And then privacy, we'll just use the existing one that's there, that comes with it. And then Breeze, I'm not going to make any changes currently. We'll get everything in place and get some speed testing and then see what we get. Just because it was going to be speedy. I'm going to go back over here. Let's do... So now you can see the site. And just to show the time to first byte that I'm talking about, and then we can go. And these obviously should be almost pegged out by default because it's not really loading much and there's no images, there's nothing there, but you'll see that it's super fast. Like the full thing is loaded and nothing flat. And when you go over here and you look at the waterfall, yeah, 204 milliseconds for your initial, which is where a lot of your delay comes from for most people right off the bat, is this delay. So you can cut away some of these other parts and some of these other images, and this would probably be almost nothing. So those images are those ones that they put in that first post. So these ones are the ones that are loaded from the AWS service. But this just lets you know, I mean, right off the bat, we're going to be much faster with this website than we will be for almost all other websites. So now go take a look at some themes and see which way we can go. Maybe we'll start with an easy one that's free for everybody. So when I start to look at building a site in the first place, what I'll do is first go take a look and kind of look at what I can find for competition. It kind of lets me know if I'm going to have a hard time or a fairly easy time ranking for things. And when I was looking at this, I really only found these two that look somewhat like blogs. I mean, this one's most definitely, this one is a blog, and this one looks like a blog mixed with a store. But I mean, this was a store, this was a store, and this one looks like a store, but it looks like a really old store. Because I mean, like, look at this. Like, this is very much old style website building. So I don't find a lot of competition itself, and that's incredibly nice, because that means as a micro niche and really trying to not write hundreds of posts, that this might be a perfect website to launch and just get 30 posts, you know, maybe 40 posts up, and let it just sit and rest and grow and just kind of see where it goes on its own accord. So what I'll probably start next into is what there is for some topics, because right now I don't have any categories of what I would put stuff in. I would assume that there is like a beginner information, and I mean, I'll put that as what, 20. I'll do like 10 posts, right? And then maybe maybe like trick tips, right? We have a few that are specifically there. And then what do we got? We've got this is where you want to kind of think of how you think you'll break down your site. It's easier when you have some more categories. So maybe I'll start with just those. Now we probably could do for buyer's guide on buying, because the hacky sacks and foot bags are made of a lot of different materials. So we'll do buyer's guides, but that's probably still only going to be, I think, really 2 in the end, because there's I think there's sand, metal, and plastic. I probably can do 3. That way you cover all the different types of actual foot bags exist. And then I mean, you can always do reviews, but I'm not a huge fan of reviews. Best X for Y. We'll do like a mix. We can do like 5 of those. We can probably do, let's just assume 5 of those. So I mean, right now, if we were to max out what we have here, there's 28 posts for ideas if they fit within those categories. After we go take a look at what exists online, then we can start to figure out if we have additional categories we'd like to do, and then start building our list. Alright, well apparently I failed at actually clicking start recording. So I started going through basically an alphabet soup approach on Google, just to kind of find some terms as to starting. And then, so just to show everybody kind of what that means, these are like autocompletes where you see this information here showing up. So footbag hacky sack, right, is a phrase. Footbag versus hacky sack is a phrase. We can do that. That would be a good one, right? So I tend to take these and I just come in and add them to my idea list. So this way I kind of have a running list of things that I want to go through, and then I can evaluate the competition on what's there on the first page, and then whether or not I'm going to create it. And let me actually insert one to the left and list what I think the content length needs to be. So I mean, I could be like 1500, and I'm just saying that I think for that to rank I'm going to need 1500 words. That way I've got a good idea as to what I think I can do to win that one. And when I mean win, I'm always aiming for the top place. So first place, either with the snippet or just with my content to win out in the end. So you can go through here and you can start working on, you know, okay. So you can do what does footbag, right? And then you can actually do stars and keep adding, right? Or you can do stars back here and you can actually start to strip away these, right? There, what is the best footbag, right? There's nothing with a C. What is a footbag? So this is how you can go through and actually figure out how many exist and what options there are for you. Another one that most product related people will start with is there. So this way you can kind of get a look at what options exist for best ones, right? So now we can do, you know, since we're trying to build this site anyway, let's go ahead and we'll do best beginner footbag, right? Best hacky sack, that's the brand, so that's not a bad one to have, because hacky sack is the actual brand from Whammo. There's best sand footbag. Best footbag shoes. There you go. There's another one. And then you can just double check. So if we're happy with those, which we will be for now, we'll do top. Yep, there's nothing. So we can do best 4. There's best footbag for freestyle. So best X for Y, right? So best shoes for footbag, right? And you'll see, have best footbag shoes, best shoes for footbag. This way you can kind of look at both of them and actually see if there's crisscrosses and if one is longer, because with Google and BERT, there's less, like these ones are basically the same. So it's good to look and see what's ranking on both and understand what's actually there. And then since I know they are in between each other, like this sometimes gives you a chance to go look at more options. So this way you can kind of fill in your sheet of ideas, because this part will help you get ideas and choose the actual low competition ones. So I mean, if you do these ones and you look, you're looking at this one as 7, right? So they were on my list. So if you look at these, then you can look and go take a look, right? Overall, if I was to look at content, it's 1,240 words. That one should be an instant winner. This is not even close to as long as you could be, and it's really reminiscent of years ago. So, I mean, this isn't even about this bag. It's just about the vendor, and it's about the vendor, and it's about the vendor. So they're not even all that detail oriented. So these ones are going to be easy to take over from these. I mean, that's number 2. What's number 1? This is even, I mean, this has some actual information about them, but this is going to be easily beatable also. So, I mean, when you're looking at what you're trying to find, you're trying to see what exists in the top place. And you can tell that, I mean, to do best sand hacky sacks, that it's a list post, because it's like 7, 11, it's a choice of them, right? Then there's a buyer's guide, and you can just go through these and look at these. I mean, this whole list is a listicle. So, I mean, if you make a listicle and you're better than theirs and you fill it in more details than theirs, you are going to immediately jump up this list. I keep that for later because I'm always happy to see other websites. But see, like Right Life, it looks like this is just something they did once and then posted about it. This is a shop, so I don't really care about shops. This is just going to be a joke click through. So looking at these ones, I feel like you have a pretty good chance to win this one right off the bat. And the volume says 10, but you're going to rank for a whole bunch of sub keywords. I mean, when Google goes through your post, you're going to rank for 5, 10, 20, 50 other keywords. I mean, the longer your content is, the more chance there's going to be more keywords inside there that your content can rank for. So I don't tend to pay all that much attention to this number, because best hacky sacks is probably 100, right? Which means this one together would be at least 110 between those 2 keywords. So really, you just write what you need to write to take care of the people who will visit your site, and just make sure that it's the best content and will get you here. Because if you're not going to be in this top 3, you're going to get 3%. I mean, and 3% of 100 is 3. That's no visits. You want up here is 30%. You get 30 out of those 100. That's what you care for. So I'm going to go look up some more topics, and then I'm going to start evaluating how long each of them have to be, and I'll be back. Next, we're just going to take a look and see what Answer the Public has to say for us. This website's kind of nice when you're just trying to get some ideas as to directions to go on your website. So you can find out what people are asking about your specific topic, or you can do a longer phrase or a keyword string, depending on what you're looking for. In this case, I'm just going to do footbag, and I really don't like this, so I always switch this over to data, because it'll just show me the organization by the words. So I don't think I have that one, so you guys can see I've kind of made this list. I'm always interested, rather have too many options and then remove them afterwards as they come up as not helpful. But ideas are really what will help you get started on your site and really start moving forward. So rather have all the ideas and then, oh, see, I already have that one. We can delete that. I'd rather have the ideas and then work backwards. So again, prepositions. So this is can for so footbag for beginners, footbag tricks for beginners. See, that's helpful. Best footbag for beginners we have. See, these are not the right. These are spaces in their names. It's not this about something else. It's about putting a bag over your foot. not the same thing. Data, hacky sack, or a footbag. Foot bag versus hacky sack. Oh, we already got that one. And then alphabetical. So this is just where a foot bag exists with a word after it. So you can kind of just glance through and see. See footbag.org. I'll just add that just as always good to have a chance to come back and look at competitors and other people. It also gives you, if you have competitors, then you can go evaluate them with something like KW Finder to go see what they're ranking for and see if you're missing something that should be there. I'm going through. The history, these are pretty boring. I tend to like to do more informational stuff. I'm not as huge a person on layering in all sales pages. That gets boring to me. But like, see, these ones I like. Grab a couple of these because like tutorial. I think that's the one we already got earlier. Yep. Okay, we're good. Don't need that one. Trick lists. Yeah, I like those kind of things because like that could be an information product. Or maybe YouTube videos. I don't know. Training, see? Let's see. Just on shoes. Obviously, there's definitely some care for the shoes you choose to use when you're playing. There's World Championships. It's always good to go learn some more about what they have for World Champions. Maybe you can tie your site and see the spikes versus that. And then the other thing you can do is go to also ask.com. This is like the people also ask section instead. So I would always suggest moving that to the US if that's where you're targeting. And then it can actually try and find you some other additional questions that people ask. So I always save them to a CSV and then just open it. And then I have all those questions that are there all within here. So these are just a chain of inside each other. So inside this one, there was this one, and inside this one, they also had this one. So you can kind of see the chain of how people have migrated through traditionally to look. So I'm going to add a few of these onto my list. And then start putting in some search time to see what we are going to need to win and beat the competition. We're going to go take a look just for fun over on Google Trends. I think it's probably the best way to just go kind of see. I'm expecting it to be downward, but you never know with these things. It could just be flat. Looks like it's pretty flat. Switch out, right? So if I was to do like 2004 present, you'll see it. Yeah, see, because it was big. It spiked again towards the beginning of the 2000s, and then it slowly made itself into a small sport again. It's compared to something that's easy to do. Let's see. Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna fight the eye of the needle. Like you're really gonna want to maximize the value you get out of your posts because you don't have a huge volume compared to what you'd had before. So I mean, this is like the most times searched. It's not like a value, so that doesn't mean 100 searches versus no searches. So I mean, when you see something like dirt bags, which obviously has escalated hardcore with the pandemic going on, there wasn't the same bump here. But the people who do this are very interested in it, and the people who are looking are technically very new and looking for information. So it might lead us to a good place to exist, to rank first, and to get a lot of traffic from those people who are new looking to play. And we can link them to Amazon for products. I'm not really interested necessarily in the sales, because it's going to be pennies. Like, it's going to be really small money value unless they buy random add-ons in their cart. But getting the traffic through and then selling an information product at like $9.95 could be highly lucrative for a site like this. Hey guys, welcome back. I just put some stuff in place for GeneratePress. So just overall what I did was just give it overall header and the info. I don't have a logo yet. There's no post. It's just going to lay out the blog post on the home page, and then I put a disclaimer on the front page, and then these are all links. They don't necessarily go to any page currently until I go build them. And then I just went through and I set the width a little bit wider. I set it to 1280 pixels just because so many people are on large screens nowadays that it'll look better. It gives me a little bit more room. And then I added a few plugins. So Amalinks, I do as my Amazon plugin, and their table builder helps me provide nice, very nice looking tables for both desktop and mobile devices. And then on top of that, I added Flying Analytics, which is just a Google Analytics script that runs locally, so it doesn't have to go out and get information, which speeds it up tremendously. And then I added Generate Blocks, which is free. It just allows you to add some more fancy blocks inside what you're building. So like you can do some cool sales blocks and some other stuff if you want to go build them out. And then I already am a GeneratePress premium owner because it's really inexpensive, arguably per year. I think it's $49 or $59 a year, but it's unlimited sites and everything. So depending on your need, the only thing I've used it for currently is I activated it to update the footer. But I mean, if you're not looking at those, you probably can get away without getting it. I would suggest it for a good cost for a business. I mean, you're running a business, and businesses do cost money. And then I always install Word Count Pro because I like to keep track of how I'm writing, because this gives you statistics so you can kind of see what pages have content and what the posts are. And then you can see what your average is. So you can see, if you're only 900 words per post or, 3,000 words per post, it just gives you some heads up information to look and see. And then it kind of tells you how long the content is and how long the reading time is. So you can kind of see if there's a overall benefit or like your longer content maybe that you like, and just gives you a chance to know what you have in place. But working on coming through here, trying to find some more posts, trying to find some more ideas. I found some stuff for YouTube, which would be like going through and doing a show of how you do each one of these kind of kicks and what they look like, and then build out some more maybe. But it's kind of work in progress and all coming together, and hope to have some more for you in a little bit. I didn't want to just give you nothing, but I did want to show you all the work that I've been doing just to get this all assembled. So hopefully next I'll kind of have a layout of how many posts and then at what lengths they are. Right now I've got one like this, best sand hacky sacks. I feel like the competition's pretty low, but that I think it's going to be really about 1,500 to 2,000 words to win it. And that, yes, I wanted to create that. And then I have notes where I do things like footbag tricks is probably a YouTube thing. It's not, I don't feel like it has a post necessarily. I mean, I'll look around and try and find some, but like footbag tutorial, that's a YouTube thing. A trick list you could probably do as an info product, maybe a series of 52 cards, almost like you would for a card deck, right? Of each different move and how it's done. And then same thing, how to make a hacky sack. That sounds really like an easy to do information product. And then custom hacky sacks I'm betting I can probably find some on Etsy where I can get at least maybe a commission portion by using like a win. And then I found one randomly for like a hacky sack pattern. So that might be another way we could look at info products. So just keeping you up to date as I work through this, and hope to be back in a little bit with hopefully an idea of the posting organization and the first 30 lined up. All right, everybody. So I went through my list and I've assembled a hit list of 22 posts that I'm going to do up front and start this with, which means currently 9 response, 9 staples, and then 4 pillar posts. It comes in at 22. And outside of these, I think I'm going to have to take some time and dig in to actually go find more specific posts where I can go. I think I have a couple more ideas, but I'm going to have to get to that point. But I'm going to start building these. So I'm going to start with all of these response posts up here and aim for 1,250 words. And then I'm going to submit them immediately to Google and to Bing search engine. So that way they'll start to get time counting. And I hope you guys continue to come with me on my ride. But this is going to get posted soon as the starter, so everybody can follow along if they want to. I'll catch you guys all soon.